So chat, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's been kind of making waves on social media. I've been seeing a lot of the anti-woke crowd talking about this. You know, the usual suspects you would expect: Melanie Mack, what is it? Jeremy from the Quartering, all those folks. The typical people you would expect to be making a stink about this are the people who are making a stink about this. Some people have even gone as far as to name this GamerGate 2.0. Which nobody wants to see that happen. But in any case, I'm going in blind. I have no idea what the fuck this is about, but apparently everybody's in an uproar. The anti-woke crowd are in an uproar about this company called Sweet Baby Inc. And I know nothing about this. So we're going to find out about this together. I decided the best place to start would be to pull up their website. So let's see. It says, founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. So it's a consultation company. Basically, like, lots of companies will hire firms like this for various different reasons. You know, maybe you might hire a consultation firm to do things like evaluating efficiency within your company. Maybe you'll hire a consultation firm to take care of different trainings. Like if you've ever done a sexual harassment training, there's a good chance that your employer probably hired a consultation firm to make that possible. If you've ever had, like, maybe you work in an industry where technology is important, they might hire a consultation firm to come in and evaluate the security of the network that you work on, stuff like that. There's various different consultation firms throughout various different industries that companies can hire for various different reasons. And it seems like this one specifically, at least what I get from this little About Us section, is they try to help people make their games more diverse and probably inclusive and stuff like that, which, I mean, I don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. But in any case, let's go ahead and let's dive into it some more. This says their services are: we believe you need diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Inc. provides narrative consultation at any stage of development, boasting a talented team with vetted industry experience to best bring your story to life. This includes writing, narrative representation, and development. Okay. Outreach. New and marginalized talent can change this industry if given the proper support. We want to provide this through our outreach programs. Okay, cool. And these are some of the projects they've worked on. So they've worked on some big games here. We've got Alan Wake, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok. Like, there's some pretty noteworthy titles here that they've been a part of. And here's some of the clientele they work with: Xbox, Valve, Electronic Arts, Santa Monica Studios, 2K. There's quite a few noteworthy names in the game industry here that they've worked with and provided their consultation services for. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't really seem all that big of a deal, but we know how the anti-woke crowd can be. They can get really upset about a lot of really stupid shit. So I decided to pull up an article. This is an article by PC Gamer that kind of goes into what this is about. Let me actually zoom into the article just a little bit. There we go. We're going to read this article and we're going to find out about this because, again, like, on the surface, just looking at their website, it just seems like a consultation firm to me, which, who cares? If a company wants to hire a consultation firm to make their games more inclusive and diverse, or, you know, things of that nature, I don't see an issue with it. But in any case, a company called Sweet Baby Inc. has become the target of anti-woke gamers, excuse me, because it offers consultancy work, an industry standard service that's been normal for years. And this is true. And it's not even specifically to the games industry, as I mentioned before. Consultancy services are available for many different industries for many different purposes. So this is not a new thing. Consultants, not tyrants. Okay, let's dive into it. If you're gently confused as to why everyone is upset at an alleged sweet baby, then you're certainly not alone. As per a Kotaku report on the subject yesterday, a Steam group has picked up traction to the tune of around 70,000 members at the time of writing. It's called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, as if to warn discerning consumers of invasive DRM or something. You know, we've seen groups like this before pop up on communities like Steam before, for stuff like, you know, as they mentioned, invasive DRM. You know, gamers aren't the biggest fans of DRM, and there's various different reasons why. It's not just piracy, but there's various different reasons why gamers aren't too fond of DRM. And so you will see groups pop up to warn other gamers, hey, just letting you know, if you were considering buying this game, you know, it uses this type of DRM, or if you've been considering buying this game, it uses that kind of DRM, etc., etc. But this one is specifically targeting game developers that work with Sweet Baby Inc., apparently. Instead of warning against potentially sketchy software, though, these concerned gamers have instead perceived a rising tide of ideology that's somehow taking over the industry by force. Oh, chat. It's about the woke ideology again. Oh, no. Kotaku's senior editor spoke to a handful of members from the group's Discord who were primarily concerned about ideological worldviews that I believe have taken hold of the Western world media and gaming as a whole, and race and identity group quotas. In other words, the kind of stuff that caused an entire fleet of gamers to construct their own anti-woke sci-fi convention, rally against power-saving console features as if they were a big statement on climate change, or start lengthy Twitter threads about how they accurately render alloy with the usual amount of hair a woman has on her face. These are the kind of things that, like, the anti-woke crowd get really, really, really upset about. Somebody says, I smell cope. I mean, we just started the article, and yeah, there is quite a lot of cope there.
You are coping and seething.
We haven't even really gotten to the meat of it, and we're already dealing with copage.
Yes, you're coping and seething.
Not good. We are not off to a good start, chat.
You are molding and coping. Coping so hard.
I fucking hate everyone.
The situation grew in scale as some Sweet Baby employees, frustrated at the idea of a curated list specifically made to avoid games that they had worked on, acknowledged the group on social media. While the tweet has been removed, one employee also discovered and shared the group's curator's Twitter account. Regardless of your opinion on that, it should be noted that Steam's guidelines for this sort of thing prohibit insults, harassment, and discrimination. The creators and members of these groups are responsible for ensuring that they adhere to all of the guidelines outlined above. It can be argued that the anti-Sweet Baby group is violating said guidelines. That'll be interesting to see if, we find out the group got taken down or anything like that. Maybe it's already happened. I don't know. Because again, I'm going into this situation blind. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting, to say the least. Sweet Baby employees maintain that overall their job is to provide assistance to companies that already want to improve already existing diverse elements. As per the company CEO, Kim Belair, but the perspective is never that we're coming in and injecting diversity. For the most part, it's the reverse. It's that a company has created a character and they want to make that character more representative and more interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, basically, they're already a game developer that's working on a project, and they want their game to be, inclusive and diverse or something along those lines. And so they develop the story and they develop the plot of the game and the various different elements of the game. And they say, hey, this is what we've come up with. Now let's bring in this consultancy firm and let's have them evaluate it and basically let us know where we can improve, or let us know if we did a good job, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you a perfect example of this in regards to other consultancy. A lot of you guys know I have an IT background. I work in IT. I've worked in IT. And so like sometimes what various different, tech departments for wherever you may work will do is, they put in infrastructure that's supposed to be secure and, protect the security of the data that they're dealing with and protect the security of the employees that use their networks and stuff like that. But then after they implement all these security features to try and protect their network, then they'll bring in a security firm to kind of like evaluate it and say, hey, where can we improve? Did we do this right? Where did we do things wrong, etc.? And this is the same sort of thing, right? So these game developers are working on their games, they're working on their projects, they're trying to make them inclusive and diverse. And then after they're done with pretty much what they've come up with, they bring in this firm and say, hey, how can we improve, or are we doing this right? And then it will be evaluated by these people. This is by no means like a requirement in the industry. Nobody is forcing, people to hire Sweet Baby Inc. to do this. This is a choice the developers are making themselves. But my understanding is a lot of these people think that developers are being forced to work with these companies like this, to try and insert woke ideology into the games and stuff. Which is insane. If it was a requirement, then I'd get it. It's not though. Yeah, exactly. If it was a requirement, then it's like, okay, like, should a company be required to hire a service like this to have their games evaluated? Probably not. But like, if it's optional, who cares? These companies are choosing to hire these people to help them with this stuff. So anyway, so where were we? Okay, we were right here. So now let's go to the uninitiated observer who gets riled up over Starfield daring to let you they them in space. We all know what that's in reference to.
Fucking pronouns!
Sweet Baby may very well represent everything terrible about video games in a modern era, but in case you aren't like that, I feel obligated to lay out an explanation. So consultation work is a complete non-event. And this is true. As I mentioned before, lots of companies work with various different consultancies for one reason or another. And it's not that big of a deal. This is a total nothing burger. Sweet Baby is a narrative development company, according to its CEO, Kim Belair, and described as a consultation studio on its website. Here's a great breakdown of what exactly that entails from a narrative designer that's actually worked with Sweet Baby before and is currently working on Insomniac's Wolverine. It starts with a dev team. They have an idea. Maybe they already have an outline of their story and core gameplay loop. Maybe they've got a whole script and a playable build. Either way, something is missing, Mary Kenny writes. These problems could involve poor world building, an underbaked character, and so on. The team knows something is wrong, but not how to identify or fix it. And this can happen sometimes, right? Especially when you're dealing with a storytelling medium like video games or like film or stuff like that. Sometimes you'll get something that's the video game industry equivalent of writer's block. And you're like, we got like a core here of what we think is a good idea for a game and a narrative in the game and a story in the game and whatnot. But there's just some missing pieces. There's missing pieces to the puzzle to make it all fit together. And so let's hire this firm to help us figure out where the missing pieces are and fix the parts that, we haven't been able to fix ourselves. What is wrong with that? What is the issue with that? I don't think there is one. Anyway, however, as Kenny emphatically states, Sweet Baby has no actual say on what makes it to the final game. If the dev team disagrees with them on something, the dev team doesn't take the note. It really is that simple. And that's like a common thing with a lot of these like consultancy firms, right? If a company, let's say a company hires, a consultancy firm to evaluate the efficiency of their business and basically say, how can we make our business more efficient? Okay. And the company comes in, they do their evaluation and they say, these are all the things that you need to do in order to be more efficient. And now there may be some situations where like maybe the company will say, hey, we like these few things, but the rest of these things we don't agree. So we're not going to do that. We'll just do these things. Or it might be a case of, hey, you know what? We don't agree with any of the suggestions you provided. So we're not going to do any of them. All a consultancy firm does is come in, evaluate your work and say, this is where we think you can improve. And if they want to accept those suggestions, then they implement them into their projects and they move forward, or they don't. Okay? What is the problem with that? That there isn't one. Bafflingly, this isn't the first time in recent days the game developers have had to dispel such rumors. Here's Kyle Rowley, a director of Alan Wake 2, having to set the record straight about Saga Anderson's ethnicity, which, by the way, I haven't played Alan Wake 2 yet. I played the first game years ago, and I loved it. I need to play Alan Wake 2 because I hear good things. So they said that's absolutely not true in regards to the prevailing theory is that if it weren't Sweet Baby, Saga Anderson would have been portrayed as a white woman. Is that true? Well, it's impossible to say, but doesn't matter. Melanie Lubbard did a great job on the role, to which they responded, that's absolutely not true. To rephrase the obvious, Sweet Baby is about as capable of forcing a game developer to make grand sweeping changes to its story and characters as contracted artists, musician, or catering company staff workers for office birthdays is. It's the prime business model of consulting companies to offer consultation, not orders. In that sense, Sweet Baby's work is literally a non-event. Not in the sense that it's unimportant. I mean, its work is so normal that it should surprise no one. Yes, Sweet Baby explicitly consults on issues including the accurate representation of marginalized groups. That is what it helps with. So say, for example, you'll have a game where it features indigenous characters, and maybe they portrayed those indigenous characters in a way that might be construed as insensitive. Somebody like Sweet Baby Inc. would come in and evaluate it and say, hey, you know what? Your portrayal of the indigenous characters in this game, it could be viewed as insensitive, to some indigenous people. So you might want to reconsider how you're portraying these characters in the game. And it's just kind of like they're advising them, hey, we think this could come off as something bad. You might want to make these changes to make it better. Does that make sense? And does that sound at all harmful? I really don't think so. Yeah, I can say Sweet Baby Inc. is really bad. How though? I'm not sure. I don't understand how it could be really bad. But anyway, so that's what it helped with. But it wasn't unimportant. If it wasn't important to people making the games they work on, then Sweet Baby just wouldn't be hired. This is true. The idea that Sweet Baby is somehow doing bad work doesn't pan out either. Sweet Baby isn't ruining games, obviously. And I'd have to agree with that because we saw some of the games that they're working on, right, on their website. We saw some big name titles that have been extremely successful on their website. So it's very clear that their work is not negatively impacting all the games they work on, right? They most likely do pretty normal narrative stuff work too, not just representation. Yeah, that's just the examples I'm giving, obviously. But yeah. A second, even more baffling strain of criticism around Sweet Baby is that it's ruining games somehow. Most recently, Sweet Baby was hired to help consult on Suicide Squad, which hasn't been doing great by Warner Brothers' own admissions. If you're wondering what character design and story elements have to do with an ill-advised live service game, yeah, me too, but let's look at Sweet Baby's portfolio. Over the past few years, Sweet Baby has been called in to work on some genuinely solid games like God of War Ragnarok, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2, which got an 88 from us in our Alan Wake 2 review. Got to promote their own review, of course. In the interest of fairness, there are some less than solid titles there too, like Gotham Knights and Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. Sweet Baby has consulted on games of varying quality because obviously it's not actually responsible for a game being good. It's barely even responsible for the quality of a game's story. It's the narrative designers on those respective titles who have final say, and you can receive the best critique in the world and not use it. So why Sweet Baby? It's a good question. Piggyify doesn't matter who, because it's there. That might be the whole the whole thing, folks. If you're against games with inclusive casts or what have you, it's growing harder to toe that particular line. Such games have proven, not that they needed to, that they can be both good and bad in ways that any game can. It's hard to say, for example, that non-heterosexual folks like myself are ruining video games when Baldur's Gate 3 is inherently supportive of queer players and just so happens to be on the best RPGs of the decade. One of the best RPGs of the decade. I still haven't played it. I've had so many people tell me that I should. I still haven't played it yet. Again, not that any of this needs disproving, but if you've got a culture war to wage, you need to up recruitment somehow. It's far easier to believe that some insidious outside influence is sneaking into Kabbalist silver tendrils into your favorite hobby rather than admitting that most gamers don't actually care. It's a simple sell to invent a version of a company that's somehow forcing people at a metaphorical gunpoint to turn up the diversity dial rather than just being a service that is clearly useful to some developers telling certain kinds of stories. So yeah, I mean, this really does sound like a nothing burger. As somebody who, again, is coming into this mostly blind, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so it's an optional service that game developers can hire to help them out with their games. They're not required to do so. So what is the problem? Like, genuinely, what is the problem? I don't see one. But anyway, that's the article that I wanted to pull up in regards to it, though. But I kind of want to see what some of the people, you know, the usual suspects that we see complain about these sort of things have to say about it. So let me pull up, I think I saw Melanie Mack had a video on this. I don't know if we'll watch her whole video, but let me pull up Melanie Mack, Sweet Baby. Let's see. Okay. So we have a video by Melanie Mack on this topic. Let's go ahead and let's see what Melanie Mack has to say about it.
Right now. And for the uninformed, GamerGate 2.0 is upon us, kind of.
See, I told you, so many of these people are referring to this as GamerGate 2.0, which, for the love of God, we don't need another GamerGate. I think we can all agree the first one it sucked. The funny thing is, when the first one happened, I had heard about GamerGate because back then I was a gaming channel. I did mostly retro gaming content, but I was a gaming channel. And so I would hear like a lot of like people in the games industry and people on social media referring to GamerGate. I had no idea what it was at the time. It wasn't until later on I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is pretty fucked up. But there was already a GamerGate. We don't need a GamerGate 2, but that's what they're calling this. Anyway, let's continue.
Sort of, honestly, yeah, with Sweet Baby Inc. Now, I've gone over Sweet Baby Inc. a little bit with the Suicide Squad stuff, Kill the Justice League, and how they ruined that. But they're panicking right now. Let's just say they're panicking right now. And for the uninformed, let me go ahead and just try.
Were those games that she mentioned really that bad? I haven't played the games that she mentioned. Does anybody in the chat know if those games are any bad? I don't know. Sounds just about as overblown as the fear of another adpocalypse because a certain tickled man once got away with his poor takes on society. Yeah, fair enough.
To TLDR this as best I can. So I made a video before. It was one of my Justice League videos or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League videos where I looked over the Sweet Baby Inc. website and all of the red flags and everything stupid with that. So let's find out what Sweet Baby Inc. is first and foremost. Sweet Baby Inc. Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. So basically, this is just a woke company that wants to insert all of their politics and agendas into gaming. And for some reason, they're getting jobs and they're getting hired to do these.
I always think it's like really silly, right? The whole like keep your politics out of my games or whatever. Like, you know how many games like politics is part of like the narrative story arc or whatever? There are so many games that like you might have enjoyed and you maybe never really thought about it, but politics is part of the narrative in the games. I think the game franchise that really comes to mind the most, one of my favorite game franchises, somebody in the chat just said it, VCC TV, Metal Gear Solid. Like the Metal Gear franchise is heavily like, politics is a big part of the narrative in those games. So like, I always laugh when people go like, keep your politics out of my video games. And it's like, dude, like, do you actually pay attention to the games you play, or are you just looking for a reason to be outraged over nothingness? Right? Now, I will say this, like, I don't like when games will like unnecessarily shoehorn in stuff. Because at that point, it just kind of seems like pandering. And as much as like as nice as it is to have a game that's, you know, inclusive and has a diverse cast and whatnot, as nice as it is to have those things, when it's like pandering to you, that also like kind of insults your intelligence to some degree as well. But anyway, it's just always funny when you hear that stuff.
Things. Think Anita Sarkeesian types. Remember how she just inserted herself in the industry, not even a gamer, and she started getting consulting stuff, just dropped a freaking atom bomb in the gaming industry, ruined it really, that's what started the domino effect of messing up a lot of things. We had characters like...
It's funny, how long has it been since like Anita Sarkeesian's been relevant and they're still big mad about her existence? Which I will say, in all honesty, I wasn't the biggest fan of Anita Sarkeesian. There was a lot of stuff like, for example, she would say in her reviews that wasn't entirely like honest. I remember there was a big one where she was commenting on one of the Hitman games and she said something about the games that wasn't true. Was there something about like you get rewarded for killing prostitutes in the game or something like that? But that's actually not true. You actually get a penalty in the game, if I remember correctly, if you kill the prostitutes. So nothing against like, you know, Anita Sarkeesian's like worldviews on like feminism or anything like that. Just when it comes to stuff like some of the arguments that she made against some of the games that she spoke out about, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, that's actually not true. What you just said about that game's not true. But anyway.
Or beloved classic Lara Croft, which there is still a market for because people, she's outdated. Nobody cares about classic Lara Croft anymore. Well, look at how well the remasters have been doing. Eat that.
Oh yeah, she was one of the people that got, I think I tweeted about this a while back. She was one of the people that got like big mad about the, what did they call it? The unified Lara Croft design. I think that's what they call it. She said it had man face.
So on the launch day,
I'm not going to watch this whole video, but like, she says that this has man face. And like, to me, I look at this and I'm like, it's just the old Lara Croft, but updated with more detail. It's literally the old Lara Croft, just updated. I don't understand. Anyway.
So anyway, they take issues with characters like Lara Croft because she's curvy, she's very feminine, she's very womanly, and no, you can't have a beautiful character, not in current day. You know, you got ugly.
Trans Girl Jade in the chat says the new Lara Croft looks fucking hot. You would say that, you fucking coomer.
Stop being horny.
Stop being horny, goddammit. Then again, that's a tall order to ask of Trans Girl Jade. She loves being horny.
I'm gonna come.
Everything. Gotta they them queerify everything too and all this stupid stuff. So anyway.
Oh my god. I don't understand. Like, even not looking at this from like a woke perspective, okay? I don't understand why they care so much about a game, maybe a game that stars a, you know, like a, you know, a black character, or why do they care so much if a game has LGBT characters in it? Okay. Why does it matter? I don't understand why this is a big deal. It seems like a really stupid thing to get upset about, but maybe it doesn't make sense to me because I'm not fucking deranged.
Okay. So this Sweet Baby Inc. detected tracker on Steam started curating a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. are affiliated with and that we're a part of consulting for. Okay, so this is for a lot of people who don't want to support this stuff. I don't want to play anything that Sweet Baby Inc. has consulted for because I think they're retarded. Oh,
that's an awesome reason. I don't want to support any games that they were a part of because I think they're retarded.
Hold on. Retard break. I need a retard break. Give me a retard break for like 2 fucking minutes, okay? I can't keep listening to fucking retards.
They can't give an actual reason why they're not fond of this company, so they're just like, well, they're retarded though. Like, I understand when you have, like, you know, we mentioned this before, like Steam groups that'll be like, yo, this game uses this type of DRM that's been known to cause stability issues for the game. You might not want to get this game because this DRM is going to cause problems with your gameplay experience. Like, there's a really popular DRM that literally does that. Like, they've shown, like, somebody cracked the game to remove the DRM. I think it was with Resident Evil Village. Somebody cracked the game to remove the DRM, and then they ran a version of the game that had the DRM side by side, and it had frame rate issues. And we're talking frame rate issues on high performance hardware. So I can understand starting a Steam group for something like that. Hey, just letting you know, you might not want to get the PC version of this game because it runs like shit because of this shitty DRM. But like something like this, like, yo, they hired this consultancy firm that has little to no effect on the actual game whatsoever. You might not want to buy the game if you don't want to support this firm. The kind of things that these people get upset about is really stupid.
I'm not going to do that. Well, this whole Sweet Baby Ink detected thing, just like think of Libs of TikTok, for example, the account on Twitter. You notice how a lot of these people and a lot of people who are on the liberal side are like, oh no, this is hateful. They're encouraging violence. And what does Libs of TikTok do? They just share. All the account did was share videos from liberals and all that. But, oh, this is inciting violence. Same sort of narrative here.
I mean, Libs of TikTok has literally put posts on their timeline that have resulted in like a children's hospital facing bomb threats. Like, to downplay the horrible shit that Libs of TikTok does. Like, are you fucking insane?
Sweet Baby Ink. Oh, this is an attack. This is an attack on the company just because all they're doing is sharing the portfolio. What's wrong with that? Why is that such a problem? You're just curating a list of games that Sweet Baby Ink are affiliated with. Why is that a problem? Well, now
we can ask the same thing of you. Why is it such a problem that you guys feel the need to curate this list at all? Why are you so mad that game developers are hiring this company to begin with? It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I have here, Short Fat Otaku says, it seems like Cabroots Rambo's Sweet Baby Ink detected. Oh, I need to follow him back. I'll do that now. Sweet Baby Ink detected curator list on Steam is
Who watches this shit? This is worse than like the quartering.
Currently getting brigaded with reports and is in danger of being taken down. Steam, give us a hand with this, lads, will you? All right, and so he really wanted to get this out there. And then we've had Stuttering Craig on from Side Scrollers podcast. He's talked.
Oh my God. The direction that Stuttering Craig has taken Side Scrollers was genuinely disappointing. Because I used to be a big fan of like ScrewAttack.com back in the day. Big fan of ScrewAttack. And I used to listen to the Side Scrollers podcast a lot back in the day. And so when they revived the Side Scrollers podcast, I'm like, no way. It's almost like a return to the old Screw Attack days. This is going to be awesome. And now it's basically just a show where a bunch of chuds complain about how woke video games are now and bitch about like gender ideology and shit like that. So like, it is not the Side Scrollers that I remember very fondly, unfortunately.
About this a lot, so I encourage you to check that out. Also, I'm on Side Scrollers every Tuesday and Friday, so you can catch me on there live. But anyway,
oh my God,
so
you would be.
We have this.
That if I don't take actions on resolving the report, the group could
I can't even hear what she's playing. It's too quiet.
down. So I mean, I have all my moderator staff looking into it right now. What do I need to do? I need to resolve the reports, every single one.
Okay, so he's got reports. They're threatening to take it down. And, you know, just for reference, everybody knows that really ugly Fable character.
Oh my God, Transgo J in the chat says fucking pronouns.
Fucking pronouns! Pronouns!
Girl. Sweet Baby Inc. apparently was affiliated with that as well. So they're all about, what they're all about doing is forcing these queer narratives. They're all about taking beautiful female characters and uglifying them. Same thing that we saw with Anita Sarkeesian and all that. To where, oh, you can't have beautiful...
Taking beautiful characters and uglifying them? Like, is she still on about Lara Croft? Because I thought that Lara Croft looked fine. I think the only one that, like, I've ever seen where, like, and I wouldn't even call the character ugly necessarily. What was that character's name from the game Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever? It wasn't an ugly character, but it wasn't, like, a super attractive character either. But I remember, like, a bunch of them bitching about that character. Aloy, is that how you pronounce that? Aloy? I remember like a bunch of the anti-woke folks like bitching about that one. Oh man, they made this character intentionally ugly. And it's like, no, they designed the character the way they wanted the character to be. Like, does every female character have to have massive fucking boobies and like be like drop dead fucking gorgeous? Like, I don't think so. I mean, I won't lie, I like looking at attractive like female characters in video games. I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise, so there's a lot of hotties in there, you know. Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, Ada Wong, etc., etc. But like, I don't see the big deal. I don't know.
characters anymore. You know, they all have to be...
It's pronounced Aloy. Aloy. I'm butchering the fuck out of that. You know me with names. I'm bad, Jade.
You know, uglified. And so here we have the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc., Kim Belair, who proudly explains the method she uses to force bosses at game studios to censor, alter, and diversify game projects. Let me just show you guys this, and then I'll share my caption.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Yeah, so using intimidation tactics to get your company hired for these games. Now, this is what I said on this tweet where I shared that. I said, this is standard method of operation for the woke types. Weaponize empathy.
I don't know what the full context of that clip was, but if I had to guess, it was probably something along the lines of, hey, you know, if you're working on a game project and, you know, say there's representation of a group of people, maybe there's a representation of a minority group within the game that's represented very poorly. And if this game gets put out like that, it's going to look really bad for your company. Maybe you should let your company know, hey, we should hire this consultancy firm to help us fix that so that we don't have insane levels of backlash as a result of that. But again, like, I don't know what I don't know what the full context of that clip was. I haven't seen the full clip.
And employ toxic feminine tactics used by men as well to threaten the reputation of their victims if they are not given full submission. And that's what's going on here. You just see it, like, they are just unapologetic about that, unabashed, just absolutely
threaten the reputation of their victims. These are companies that are choosing to hire them. They're not victims. They are choosing to hire this company to do consultancy for them. What the
toxic feminine tactics, because here's the thing is they want to talk about toxic masculinity all the time and in these games and so on and so forth, which is stupid. But it's just like, why do they not talk about this toxic femininity that we keep seeing from companies like this, from people like this, from even a bunch of men acting like this as well? Notice how, and this is how they have intimidated people into silence who don't agree with all of
this. Sounds like some crazy like tinfoil hat shit. One in the chat if you agree that this sounds tinfoil hat as fuck. Anyway, I can't stand hearing her anymore. I wonder if Jer Bear has done a video on this. Let me see. The quartering. Sweet Baby. Let's see. Has Jer Bear done a Sweet Baby video? Let's find out. What is it? He's got a few videos on this actually. He's got quite a few videos on them. I'll just pull up this one. Maybe this is his like original video on it. Let's have a look see.
Well, I've usually never been this far behind on some gaming news, but this Sweet Baby Inc. thing is growing beyond my wildest dreams. It is, in fact, somewhere Carl Benjamin, Sargamakad, is finally getting to say it is. In fact, oh wait, you know how long it's been since I've done this?
Oh God, you gotta love the Sargon of Akkad mention.
It's basically
Could you not do that again, Jeremy? Should we clip that for the soundboard?
finally getting to say it is. In fact, oh wait, you know how long it's been since I've done this? It's basically
What the fuck?
2. It is here where feminist
See, all these like fucking like right-wing types, these anti-woke right-wing types, they're all calling this Gamergate 2.
frequency failed, where Anita Sarkeesian failed. This organization, Sweet Baby Inc., has been able to profit off some of the worst games you've ever seen.
Some of the worst game. We literally pulled up their website. And oh God, they've been getting DDoS to hell and back because of all these like dipshits. They're like, I tried to load their page a couple times earlier today, and I kept getting this Cloudflare shit because they're getting DDoS to hell and back. But we saw some of the games that they worked on. These are good games. This is a pretty good game. I've heard great things about Spider-Man 2. God of War Ragnarok. Lots of people praised it. I don't understand. Like, maybe they've had like a handful of stinkers or whatever, but there's some good games that they've been a part of. What?
Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative. It's just a fancy.
Yeah, like War Penguin said, why whose standards?
A fancier feminist frequency. Now, it starts where
Feminist frequency, correct me if I'm wrong, but feminist frequency, all it essentially was it was Anita Sarkeesian and her team doing like game reviews on like YouTube and basically talking about, you know, their political views as it pertained to video games, more specifically like female representation in video games and stuff like that. They were essentially just YouTube videos reviewing video games from that perspective. Sweet Baby Inc. is a consultancy firm. Feminist Frequency and Sweet Baby Inc., they're two completely different things.
So Sweet Baby Inc. has been tied to all sorts of narrative decisions where essentially the women are ugly or the games are terrible. For example, the latest Suicide Squad game, which PlayStation has already started to issue refunds on.
I always laugh when I see like one of these people talk about like ugly women in games, because I'll look at them and I'll be like, they look fine to me. Like I said, the most recent example, when we were talking about Melanie Mack, she said the unified design for Lara Croft looked like it had man face. What does man face look like to you? If that looked like a man to you, what do you mean?
Sable. You know, all these games, Breeze, Dark Alliance. It's essentially what happens is people figured out that this is a SJW company. So they created a list on Steam that lists all the games that they've been involved with so that people know not to buy them. 100% good use of a Steam curator's list. But the folks over at Sweet Baby Inc. have a extremely dark history.
SJW buzzword. Yeah, I remember. It's always weird when you hear the term SJW because almost nobody says it anymore. So when you hear somebody say it, it's almost like a throwback to, you know, the original days of the original Gamergate, because like it's been so long since anybody, like most people will just say woke, or they'll refer to you as like an NPC or something like that. Anyway.
Sweet Baby Inc. employees incite harassment campaign against the Steam curator, which is essentially just the person that put together that list. Individuals who work with Sweet Baby Inc. have begun a harassment campaign against the creator of Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. The curation page is intended to inform gamers whether a game has relied on Sweet Baby Inc.'s, quote, narrative consultation service. Critics of
Yeah, Chasing Dopamine in the chat says it's almost a joke to say SJW at this point. Yeah, true.
Sweet Baby believe that their mission is of promoting inclusivity is done at the expense of a game's narrative quality. Meanwhile, the Sweet Baby employees criticize the curator for being ideologically motivated against woke people and have mocked the curator's attempts to legitimize their work by avoiding loaded language and instead focusing on informing consumers. The employees in question, Chris Kindred and Felix Kramer, have both mentioned the curator. Meanwhile, Kindred has encouraged their own followers to mass flag the curator as well as his own personal Steam account, seemingly to punish him. Chris Kindred writes, the Steam curator harassment group, Sweet Baby Inc. detected, is led by this person. Here's them trying to be slick so they don't get reported. Even with the discriminatory language filed off, the group itself still fails the code of conduct.
I mean, if they're doing stuff within this group, and I haven't checked the group myself, but if they're doing stuff in this group that literally is engaging in targeted harassment against employees of Sweet Baby Inc., then that would be a violation of Steam's terms of service. So, like, if that's what's happening, then I don't really see what the big deal is.
And report the creator, since he loves his account so much. So they reported the list and reported the creator. Now, again, this is an employee at Sweet Baby Inc. The person who put together this list is only informing consumers, hey, if you don't want woke crap, here's a list of stuff to avoid. 100% nothing wrong with what they're doing. Here's another Sweet Baby Inc. employer. By the way, they were whining about this group when it had 9,000 followers. It now has 130,000 followers.
Yeah, I will say that, like, normally when you, like, see these types of things, it's probably better to not, like, acknowledge them, because if you acknowledge them, then it just signal boosts it more. It's almost like, in a way, it becomes like the Streisand effect. It's best to just ignore this kind of shit as to not give it more exposure, but, yeah.
Here's Lego Butts, a Sweet Baby Inc. employee who has a dark history. Steam doesn't have guidelines for curators, as far as I can tell, that would prevent somebody from starting a curation group that focuses on, say, Sweet Baby Inc. and warns people not to buy games they're associated with, which could just list any game at all. And then they got community noted. The curator uses Sweet Baby Inc.'s website for their own source. So they're trying to say, oh, they're just saying it's a Sweet Baby game, even though there's no proof. And here you have a tweet from Learning the Law, shout out, talking about some of the individuals at Sweet Baby Inc.
A tweet from 2014, not 10 years ago, where Felix at LegoBus decided to at Zoe, saying we exploded their site, OMG us. Zoe responds with at LegoButs, oops, we DDoSed something on accident. What they mean is they were having a conversation.
They DDoS somebody on purpose is what many people believe. So we have connections all the way back to Zoe Quinn now. And Grums wrote, Sweet Baby. I mean, this is so wild. This company has existed in the gaming industry for years.
Yeah, as our website says, they've been a consultancy firm since 2018.
Sweet Baby Inc. staff throw a tantrum after Steam curator lists created to track and warn players against their work.
I just don't get it. Like, what are you warning players of? What harm is this company causing? It's like I said, it's not like, you know, this is a game that's using, these are games that are using DRM that can, like, fry your fucking graphics card. This isn't like games that accidentally put malware in their game and you can get this malware on your computer if you download their game. This isn't like some, you know, what is it, shovelware garbage? It's literally just, well, this company, I think they make games woke, so fuck them. This is like the stupidest thing ever. I don't think we have to watch anymore, but like, this is the dumbest thing to get upset about that I've ever fucking seen. Okay? They're calling this GamerGate version 2.0. Oh my God, this is so dumb. The outrage over this is really fucking dumb.